Hello and welcome to Reiki with Rose, Real Talk Edition. There is so much to be thankful for, and firstly, it's the opportunity to speak and connect with energy in this way, to capture it and share it and expand our ripple effects in the world, connecting back to the source of that energy within ourselves. Magical. So, thank you for this empowerment within and an opportunity to recharge ourselves and ground that energy that is so vibrant and connected with us always. So, expressing love and gratitude to our collective power, I am sharing from a place of love and am just awake to the fact that when you turn the power on, it's on. Like when you turn the switch of a light, the lights come on. Or when you say, request to your audio voice control, like Google, to turn your lights on, it will happen. So it's interesting coming from an entrepreneurial background of technology innovation and infusing it with this spiritual perspective is really beautiful to notice and observe the metaphors with everything. So traditionally you go up to a switch and turn it off with a physical action, tactile connection. However, with technology innovation and how tools are enhancing our experiences to hopefully streamline how things get done, all it takes is speaking that into being. So it's very interesting to observe that technology is now creating instant gratification to what we are speaking. So let's turn the lights on, people. It really only takes that intention. And whether you're speaking it in your mind to yourself, out loud to your voice control, or physically in the moment through that action of doing something and cultivating that change to enhance that energy flow or connect the circuit, wow, that is powerful. So I'm really curious as to what is possible when we change the lens to focus on that empowerment piece, that recharging, and everything that comes with that. So when you think of a traditional outlet, and I'm talking a 3-prong outlet, not a USB fancy outlet for your phone charger, because they make those now, which is great. And I'm sure this will be outdated at some point. However, in 2020, the outlets in the US have a 3-prong, and one of the prongs, the third one, is that's at the center bottom, is the grounding outlet in that device. So when we think about how powerful electricity is, it's essential that there is a grounding aspect to that. So when we connect with ourselves and the environment, it's important that we also ground ourselves. So whether that is touching the ground or incorporating a grounding mat or device into your indoor environment. There are many other ways to ground ourselves through the elements and elemental connection. So, in this moment, I have a candle with me connecting to the fire element, which is just so empowering and really ignites that passion. And when we observe and connect with the different elements of the universe that are also ourselves, because we are the universe, mind blown. It's really empowering and really grounding at the same time. So, in shifting this conversation, it's interesting to think about, what does life look like when we incorporate the elements into what we're doing and use it as our toolbox. So when imagining our super me, our superhero within, think about the avatar inside of you. So perhaps you might be familiar of a cartoon that is currently on Netflix called Avatar: The Last Airbender. And it's just so interesting to watch something as playful and expressive and metaphorical as the avatar and interpret it as your inner superhero. So in moments where you're connecting with the dialogue in your head, give the avatar a seat at the table. So there have been some wonderful metaphors, and one that's coming to mind now is from JVN, who in their audiobook describes the mind, that mental chatter, as like a school bus of all of the different people and voices that come to the table. You know, the protective personality, or like, I know you have many talking. I do too. It's very loud. But having those different personas at the table, it's interesting to give the avatar a seat at the table. So, in moments of uncertainty, when you're faced with a challenge, how would your inner avatar handle it? What tools would you use in your toolbox? And it's cool to put that in action. So, what that looks like in moments when I'm in flow is kind of similar to like Tai Chi, like moving and dancing intuitively with the elements. And it's cool because it's so guided by energy that I'm kind of just moving and I'm like, oh, that kind of feels like water, or I'm really connected with my breath, or that was powerful, or a grounding pose. And there are specific poses that we will share with additional resources if that is something that you feel called to learn more about. However, this could come to fruition with something as simple as touching the ground, or lighting a candle, or drinking water, touching water, having plants in your area. There's many things, feathers. A lot of examples are also included in the digital workbook that is a downloadable or printout that you can use as kind of like your scavenger hunt guide when you are connecting with your inner avatar and exploring through sensory discovery. So it's infusing the elements and our sensory human skills. It is such a gift to be in this human body that we can do so many things. And I would like to emphasize the fact that that is a blessing, that is a superpower, that we are able to do and experience and activate our lives in these ways. And it is such a gift. And reflecting on some of our earlier podcast episodes where we really dived into this conversation about accessibility and what does the future of accessibility look like, and how does technology play a role in creating more inclusive experiences for everyone from all ends of the spectrum, creating a full circle and really just changing the way that we connect and experience with life. So I want to be really clear that we're coming from this place of love, and this conversation is intended to include everyone and everything. However, just calling attention to these things and feelings that are evoked within us, especially when focusing on the elements. So, really, just feeling the expansive universe from the cosmos to the roots. There's so much in this world. So when we're zooming out and just imagining like a really dramatic scene in your head, your imagination, whatever that looks and feels like for you, just zooming out, like being so present to the fact that we are a teeny tiny speck and things that feel so big in relation to the vastness of the world can feel so small. Is just mind blowing. So, zooming out and then zooming in on what it feels like to connect with your senses, to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch, and noticing the elements in that context is empowering and enlightening. So, our goal of sparking this conversation literally is to provide tools and resources and clues for fellow avatars on their journey. So, referencing that Netflix show, if you're stuck in ice and you're still defrosting and it's not time to wake up your inner avatar, that's okay. That's totally awesome. And I trust that you're exactly where you need to be, and we all are. And when your ice thaws and your inner avatar wakes up and you are ready to empower your elements within, we are here waiting for you. And all of these clues are left behind and here as a resource and a little lantern lighting the way when you are ready to deviate from that trail and create your own path. And what's so cool about creating our own paths is that when you're doing so, we'll often intertwine and cross other paths with other people crossing other paths, which is just beautiful. And it demonstrates that even though it's super scary to deviate from the main trail, the highway, where all of the flow of traffic is going, there's so much traffic. Why are we going upstream? It's like crazy. So many metaphors of a river and a road, lots of things. But it's important to follow our flow. So instead of swimming up the current, go with the flow. Just let go and literally flow. And I hope that you feel that I'm in flow in this moment. And if you haven't noticed yet, I would like to remind you that this is an unedited, unfiltered audio experience. So you might hear some things in the background. You might notice a fluctuation in tone and tempo. And intermittent laughter, because if we're not having fun when we are doing and creating, what are we doing? Literally, what are we doing? And I love laughter, especially because it's contagious. Laughter is one good thing that is contagious and needed in 2020. That would be like a good game show thing. Like, what's contagious and 2020 needs right now? Or to each his own, we can interpret that metaphor. But I hope that this laughter is invoking laughter within you. Another positive of laughter is that you get a mini ab workout. So if you're laughing really hard for a long time, like that totally counts as physical activity in my book, because I have had serious cramping from laughing really hard. So I invite you to take on that challenge. Do laugh so hard that you get an ab workout, and that can justify whatever it needs to in your story to make it have a happy ending. So, incorporating laughter into everything that we do, especially moments with ourselves, I think it's really cool to be able to be with yourself and have a great time and make it playful and finding your flow and just doing you. Just do it unapologetically. And that's part of what I'm working on and why I'm really excited about documenting these challenges. Like, I literally have videos that I published years ago trying to hold myself accountable to stuff, and I'm still working on it. So I love that it's a lifelong learning journey, and that even when we reach milestones and advance our knowledge and experience and actions, there's still more to do. There's always continuous growth. So as I'm exploring on this growth journey, I'm inviting myself to deepen my roots as part of that growth process. So not only growing up, but growing deep. And I love being in that depth, in that space. And part of why I keep coming back to these audio conversations is because I feel as though we have been increasing the depth of the pool. So throughout this series, we have, dipped the toe in. We might like have the full foot on the first step of the pool. Maybe it's a kiddie size pool, like 1 foot of water, like tipping our toe in, then maybe like taking a step out, getting completely outside of the pool and putting our feet on the grass. Really connecting all the elements again. But really now I'm taking us from that like 8 foot deep end to like deep ocean water scuba diving. And I love scuba diving as a metaphor. I have not yet done scuba tank diving. I have done snorkeling. So in a way that's pretty surface level if you think of that metaphorically, if swimming on the top layer of the water with the air connected. So scuba diving is definitely on my bucket list, and something that we used as a metaphor in a living room conversation about digital wellness and digital flourishing. And scuba diving is one of those cool things where it's like you're underwater, you cannot have your cell phone. So it's like BRB, going scuba diving. That's the mindset I want to embrace when I'm not on my technology. So it's sacred time when we are plugged into ourself, our breath, and submerged in the depths of our soul and the universe and life. Like, imagine being underwater of like many feet and being able to breathe. Wow. Let's take a breath for that scuba diver inside of us. Breathe a little bit deeper. Hold it at the top. Let it go. in the depths of ourselves, what do you see? What becomes possible? Anything. Anything becomes possible. And in this moment, I invite us to imagine a rainbow. Notice all of the different radiant colors. Perhaps the colors blend together in some areas as they transition across the spectrum. Beautiful rainbow. And I invite us to imagine that rainbow as a bridge, a rainbow bridge. And I choose to invite us all to connect with this rainbow bridge, the one that takes us to the depths of our souls, and the one that connects us with the universe. Perhaps they're one and the same. Wow. Rainbows are beautiful, super magical, and it's cool thinking about colors and imagining colors and noticing what feelings, what sensations are evoked immediately within ourselves when we see a color, whether it's in our mind's eye or in our environments. Let's tune into our environment internally, deep within. It's a little bit scary to be vulnerable, even when we know that everything's going to be okay. Fear is always something that is there. So, choosing to remember that fear can mean whatever we want it to. So, we have the power. One interpretation could be false evidence appearing real. Interesting. In the face of fear, do we choose to be courageous? In this moment, I invite us to take that on, to stand in the face of fear and continue and persevere anyway. What? Yes, let's do it. Let's hold metaphorical hands or imaginary and take that step forward. So, I think it's beautiful how many doors and possibilities open once we take that step outside of our comfort zone. When we embrace courage and look fear in the face and honor it, acknowledge it. Thank you, fear, for showing up. I trust that you're here for a reason to teach us something. And I choose to interpret this as a learning lesson and continue and persevere anyway. It's beautiful how that next step is different for each of our journeys, yet also love at its core. So, an example of what this looked like for me today was talking to a stranger. And we had a great conversation. And I am really proud of myself for exiting my comfort zone and being open to connecting and appreciating vulnerability in real life, in real time. And when we share from the heart in the moment, I absolutely trust that we are creating space for more of that to happen. And that's exactly what I noticed today. And each day, as each moment is a new opportunity to learn. So, coming back to each moment, because even conversing with someone, there's multiple moments. And in life, there's infinite minutes, but there's also many moments. So when we choose to live life moment to moment and observe what we notice, how can we learn from it and continue to embrace courage as we flow with ease and do what we please? Thank you for stepping outside of your comfort zone and connecting with your senses to empower your inner avatar. I look forward to connecting with you with the next clue. Meep! Talk to you soon.